Amplifying Leadership podcast, a place to share what it takes to be a great leader, challenges to overcome, and of course, tips to help all leaders continually develop. My name is Tara Lehman, and I'm a partner, coach, and consultant at Twin Life Coaching and Business Services. For our leadership clients, I aim to provide effective leadership coaching, consulting, and workshops to help with your professional development, reduce costs at work, and improve your resilience. So today I am welcoming back my sister and partner with Twin Life Coaching and Business Services, Barb Schutz. Welcome back, Barb.
Thank you.
So it is, at least in Canada this month, Mental Health Awareness Month. And so I thought, what a great opportunity for us to talk about mental health awareness in organizations and also as leaders.
Okay.
So
Sounds good.
I thought you were the perfect person for this because you do you still work in a corporation, an organization, but you also do some coaching remotely in the evenings. So it's a great place to talk about two different types of work. And of course, I work from home all the time. So let's start first by saying to all of the listeners, mental health in the workplace is vital and should be top of mind of all leaders and organizations. So why don't we start the conversation today, Barb, about let's look at the different types of working environments. So right now you work in an organization, so there's people around you every day, you have resources, et cetera, available. What does mental health awareness look like for you in your sector?
So certainly it's a sector that has been hit pretty hard through the last few years. So makes it quite, draining on some types of positions within my sector. The one good thing for me is I didn't have to work frontline during that period. Certainly helping support people that did, but for me, in my position and where I was, so I work administratively there. Certainly, when we were working from home, it was more challenging, but now it's great. We connect again. There's some laughing. We eat lunch together if we're around. Some of us, you can always find someone to talk to, and that's really, really important that you're not feeling isolated. We have an HR department. So if somebody is really struggling, they can talk to our HR department. They can reach out to EAP. If, your organization has one, use it. It's there. There's huge amounts of resources through EAPs or benefits if people have any kind of benefits plan that offers those types of things. And if you don't, because your position or your organization doesn't have it, that's where you can tap the shoulders of your human resource department and see what resources they can provide you, along with whatever's local to where you are.
Absolutely, I agree. I do want to touch back on something that you had mentioned, which was the COVID sending everybody remotely, and you lead a small team, and you were working remotely as a manager and also now in-house as a manager. And in-house can be so great if you have a great work culture and great team around you. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you saw the differences were and the challenges as a leader that you had with people working remotely as opposed to in-house when it came to even knowing where they were stress level wise or burnout level wise?
I think some of the key pieces where you can't see them. So you can't walk into their space, their office, their desk, wherever they are, and see how they respond to things that you're asking them to do, or how's their day. You can't see them. And a lot of cues come from the visual. Sometimes, people can hide how they sound on a phone. So it was, a lot of phone calls back and forth. Sometimes you couldn't even get a hold of them because they are running to the bathroom or they're in a meeting, but you wouldn't know that because you're not there beside them, in your work environment, being able to turn to them and say, hey, oh, you heading into a meeting? Okay, I'll chat with you when you get back. So I think there was a lot of disconnect. But I think the biggest piece was being able to understand that if somebody was struggling, unless they're going to plain out tell you, which some people do. Some people will say, I'm really struggling right now. I need help with whatever aspect of their mental health they were going through. Everybody went through something during COVID because none of us are used to that. One of my team, the team that worked for me, still works hybrid. So we do a lot of connecting on the days she's at the office, and then we just do phone connecting on the days that she's not. So we certainly do a lot of face to face. Hey, how's it going? What are you working on today? Those types of things when we do see each other, just to make sure that, you know, I can see if there's any visual cues of how she's responding, body language, you know, does she look like she's been crying? Those types of things, which she hasn't.
Mhm.
So it's all good. She's doing well, but I don't want to know anyone to think that my team's not, but that's not the case. But yeah, we have to connect that way. And I think a lot of people, when we were all working remote, that was impossible. And even when you
Mhm.
do a Teams or a Zoom call, you still can't really tell. You're seeing
Mhm.
them from, you know, the head up. And yes, you
Yes.
can see it on the face, but you can't see how their posture is, how they're walking. You know, are they slumped over? Are they taking a lot of breaks because they just can't focus? You would not know that unless you're physically with them somewhere.
And I think it's really also important that when you're not there with them, that maybe, and I know you do this as well, but like asking for feedback on how they're doing, just even with work, sometimes
Yeah.
that active listening that you and I love to talk about really helps people feel more comfortable and welcomed to provide you with some concerns if they are having that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that especially as leaders, you got to have an open door policy. Your staff have to feel comfortable
Mhm.
coming to you. You know, and I don't, my staff do feel comfortable coming to me. They've told me that. So I don't, um, you know, I don't see that in my own, you know, my own world. But yeah, certainly they need to know that they can come to their superiors, and they need
Mhm.
to know their superiors are supporting them in any way possible. My whole organization is really good that way.
Which makes for effective leadership too.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
I'm going to turn the tables a bit on me because, I work from home full time
Yeah.
and there's no one here to see me. So if I was struggling with something on the mental health side of things, it's completely different for me, right? And so
Yeah.
those remote workers, having those leaders that reach out and have a maybe a one-on-one if they're 100% remote every week. And, I do Zoom calls with video on for connection, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of leaders still do Zoom calls, but don't require video. So I'm an advocate for video. Maybe it's because I work from home remotely, but
Yeah.
I love video because we can see each other and there's a better connection there. What do you think
Yeah.
about that? What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, I agree. And like I said, um, physically seeing someone's whole entire body in an office is different than seeing kind of their upper half, but at least you can see the emotion on their
Mhm.
face. Or, you know, if you're asking them to do something and they wince, then maybe you're overworking somebody, or they are under some sort of stress that's maybe not the best thing to be asking them to do at that point. Yeah, even coaching. You know, we used to do our coaching
Mhm.
in person.
Yes,
But
yeah.
a lot of our clients, not all of them, but a lot of them were in-person clients in our area. You know, we would meet them wherever, and now we don't even do that. And you know, it's hard because we are doing it online. But yeah, certainly my clients, almost all of them are video, just so that
Mhm.
I can see the expression, I can see the concern, and yeah, there's more familiarity with the other person you're talking to.
Yeah, I love it too. It's so much easier to connect with anybody. If you're, like us, a coach and a coachee, or if you are a new leader with a new team, or it's just new to work remotely, the video gives a lot of information to somebody.
Yeah,
So you do work with both,
yeah.
remotely and at work. So obviously, you have good experiences between the two. Is there one key piece of advice that you would give to our listeners or leaders about, if you do have that hybrid approach, what would be one of the key things you would want to do every week?
Working hybridly, I think, is when you are in the office together, connect. Don't
Hmm.
forget to connect. And not just, I need you to do A, B, C, and D today, but hey, how's it going? How was your weekend?
Hmm.
You know, what have you been up to lately? If they don't want to share, they don't have to, but usually if somebody is comfortable, they will, and it'll give you a better sense of, are they struggling? Because you can say, hey, you know, how's work going? You know, have you been able to complete task A or task B? And you can see on expression if they're feeling burnt out, and they're more likely going to tell you. So I think when
Absolutely.
if you're working hybrid, it's when you're in the office together, you need to do some strong connecting.
And again, if leaders out there, you're working remotely, absolutely connect on video if you can,
Yeah.
just to get that connection going.
Or even if you are all working remotely still, is do you find a way to, even if it's once every week or once every 2 weeks, to have an in-person meeting for a couple of hours, even, as much as you can, unless you're working for someone across the country. But if you are working for someone within your same town or your same area, to try to still do a physical connect, once a
Mhm.
week or once every couple of weeks, just to have an in-person meeting.
I also am, a fan of doing those once a week coffee breaks on Zoom.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
invite everybody for the 15-minute coffee break who's remote to join you on Zoom, and it's literally like being in the lunchroom or at the water cooler chat. It's not
Yeah.
gossip, mind you, but just talking, not about work, just saying
Yeah.
hi,
That's a good
right? Yeah,
idea.
I
Yeah.
think that's awesome. So do you think that leaders can ask their teams for help if they're struggling a little bit? What are your thoughts on that?
No, absolutely. I do that. Yeah, absolutely. There's no reason if I feel like I have a lot of work on my plate and I can delegate some of that to someone that I'm comfortable delegating it to, who can also handle the workload, then I will delegate it. It provides that person with some empowerment to learn a new skill, and it's helping me take some of that stress off.
Hmm. And I think too, it allows the employees to see that you're not some sort of robot leader out there. You're human too.
Yeah.
And that again provides with more connection, and where you as leader are not, the manager, but you are a team and you work
Yeah.
with your team, and they can see that, not everybody's perfect. And I think it's a great way as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit, and you touched a little bit about this earlier, but let's talk about what leaders can do for their employees if they do come to you with a mental health issue. Let's say I work for you and I say, hey, Barb, I'm feeling really, really stressed out. I feel like the workload just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and I'm starting to get burnt out, and I don't know what to do. What what can leaders do about something like that?
Oh, I almost feel like I'm in an interview. No. Um, um, I think, for me, certainly if someone's coming to me and they're burnt out and stressed, and we're going to have a conversation, is there something that we
Mhm.
can do to alleviate whatever pressure they have, for their actual job? If it's stress beyond that and it's just coming to work as well, there's things like, does your work have an employee assistance program where there are therapists or counselors or life coaches or people that they can talk to? Do they have a gym where the person can maybe take do some
Mhm.
exercising to, kind of fulfill that? Do they have, someone on staff who can talk about their health and well-being? Not all agencies, of course, have that, but a lot have employee assistance programs of some
Yeah.
kind where they can connect them with therapists. Human resource departments are great for that.
All right. So let's talk again more about what the leaders can do with their employees if the leaders are having problems. So I know, like, if I was stressed out, I would do what you said, which is, talk to my team. Not blaming anybody, never blaming anybody, always being about the team, and you had used the word earlier, we, not I, right?
Yeah.
So things like, hey, everybody, I have massive project due. Does anybody have some time that they could dedicate to helping me out? And I think you had alluded to earlier, talking about helping other employees grow by giving them
Yeah.
extra duties, et cetera, to do. So
Yeah,
there's so
absolutely.
many things. Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
A lot of people will jump on that because it gives them an opportunity to add something to their own resume, so to speak.
Yeah,
And it can also
absolutely.
help with mental health if they're feeling kind of dragged out of their job and they're bored and they're like, I'm never going anywhere. It gives them an
Mhm.
opportunity to develop some skills.
Absolutely. And, I talk about that with some of my business and leadership clients as well, where if you know that someone might be leaving, find out why, because it
Yeah.
affects their mental health if they're unhappy. It affects their mental health if they don't see the next step forward, but maybe you have one for them. I mean, definitely asking them is so important. I agree 100% there. So you talked about some of the resources that, some companies have, EAP or EFAP, which is Employee Family Assistance Programs. A lot of companies have these. Like you said, there's counseling for free. Most of them have a suicide helpline as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then, some of them, depending on the level of EAP that companies get, they could do anything from searching for a lawyer for you if you need one, to other mental health professionals.
Yeah.
Some of them have life coaches, some of them don't. Some companies have health savings accounts, or HSAs, which sometimes coaching is covered by.
Yeah.
So if the EAP doesn't cover coaching, then of course an HSA will. But I think you and I, Barb, we need to be 100% clear here about the difference. So you come to see a coach to help with the steps moving forward.
That's right.
We do not act as a therapist.
Correct.
Yes, and we sometimes get those questions. So if you need a therapist, you have deeper trauma, we have worked alongside therapists, or just helping you with the moving forward steps. You
Yeah.
need a therapist, you seek a therapist. So what other resources could companies potentially have available or posted? Or Barb, why don't you share maybe a few of more specific ones that you may have in your organization?
Certainly the employee assistance program, access to, like you said, lawyers and therapists and doctors. Your family doctor is a giant resource.
Absolutely. Yes.
And my area, we have things like the hotlines. We have 24/7 for mental health
Mhm.
support lines. It depends where you live, what you have access to, but certainly if you're struggling finding out, telehealth or some
Mhm.
sort of other healthcare line that you can call could provide some of that. Um, yeah, but family doctors are definitely a resource for.
Huge.
They don't just necessarily have to prescribe you medication for be feeling anxious. They can certainly provide you with resources of, groups, therapists, specialists, all those types of things as well.
Tools, things that
Yeah,
you and I might
lots of
also
tools.
do as well with cognitive behavior therapy
Articles.
tools, articles.
Yeah. Yeah.
And groups, those are big too. I mean, you and I have a monthly one called
Yeah.
Taking Care of You, where, and it's free, just because we want to make sure that people are feeling good mentally and with their mental health and their self-care. And those things are out there. So,
Yeah.
look in your areas on wherever that might be posted. Maybe it's a Facebook, maybe it's a meetup, maybe it's an Eventbrite, whatever it is. Definitely there's lots of places there as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
Canadian Mental Health Association, the US has a similar one as well. I'm sure other companies do. And of course, any emergencies or 911 or whatever that is in your country. But absolutely, yeah, I think this is a vital topic for leaders,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
needs to be talked about more, because a lot of leaders still don't feel comfortable talking about it. Um, of course, we want to be sure that we're not going, "Hey, Barb, do you have a mental health problem?" We're not asking that type of question. We're doing things like you said, right? We're listening, we're
Yeah.
looking, we're feeling just the feelings of how people are reacting to us. Are
Yeah.
they absent? Pre-absenteeism, right? That's a
Yeah.
big
Absolutely.
one. That's a big one. And paying attention to those remote workers. They
Yeah.
need that video, or something that connects them. Maybe it's a
Absolutely.
Christmas party. I remember during COVID in my corporate life, we couldn't have everybody come that we normally would, to the facility. We had remote workers and we had sales staff that were remote. So we put everybody on. We used Microsoft Teams at the time. Everybody
Yeah.
on Teams who was remote, had them get their lunches, and then we all ate, and we just did it as a huge group with the speakers. Everybody could just chit chat and talk, and then also enjoy our luncheon for that time of year.
Yeah.
So
That's
it's
a
kind
good
of
idea.
fun.
That's a great
Mhm.
idea.
So thank you very much for joining today, Barb, and talking with me about this very important topic. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. No problem. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for coming and listening today. I hope you gained an understanding of the importance of mental health in organizations and as leaders. If you are in need of any leadership coaching, consulting, or workshops, or want to be a guest on this podcast, please reach out to me at tara@twinlifecoaching.ca. To find out more about all of our leadership services, as well as our new Amplifying Leadership community, please visit amplifyingleadership.ca, a twin life coaching and business services division. Until next time, please be safe and be an amazing leader or leader to be.